we'll play that throughout. It'll just be a passive thing where we kind of just there's some dice there, and we'll talk while we're doing it. What else? Oh, they will come and do Dwayne and probably Kenny. They'll come do a little cigar review because it kind of is something about promoting their business.
Yeah.
And we just because it's a cigar podcast. It's all those things. I know you're not a bourbon guy. You said
I am a bourbon guy.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, then this is the one we're to do today.
All right.
You like that one?
Sure.
Had it before?
I don't think I've had Elijah before.
It's a really smooth. So
yeah, I'm a smooth.
it's low proof 94. So, but we're gonna get a little snobby with it though. So.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna try it out of two different glasses. It's Glencairn and Turkish tea glass. The difference is, and I'll just alert you now, so you're kind of can offer some input too. So this is good for nosing and all that stuff, as well as this one's. But you get the ethanol in this one, where this one, all you get's the notes. You don't get any of that ethanol type. Yeah, so we'll do that. That'll be at some point.
Scientific right there.
Oh yeah, it's very nerdy. I went to and then yes. So the loser.
Oh no.
As well as paying the.
This is a drinking game.
No. No. The loser, as well as paying for a charity, has to take a hit of some good old Kentucky Deluxe. Some under the bridge hooch right here.
I'll put some hair on your chest.
Yes,
what my grandpa used to say.
That is the stuff that will put hair on your chest. Yes. So other than that, I will do I'm just going to do a little intro, and we will.
Should I take gum out, or does it matter either way?
It's whatever you want. Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll take a hit of tequila to start. Some loosey goosey juice. Just trying to figure out what the best question to ask you right away is here. Actually, you can just kind of give us a brief who you are, a little bit about yourself, because I don't want to get too much into your business until we get to that, and then you can just riff however you'd like to.
So, I mean, you want me to do like life story, or what do you want me to do?
So, for what's that?
At the beginning, you were saying.
No, I'm going to ask you. No, kind of. Hey,
Just
I'm Graham.
Bulldog.
I'm married. I have so-and-so kids. I have a business. This business we'll talk about some more later, and then I'll just we just riff and go. Like I was telling you, like people will interrupt us and they might ask you a question, and it's just we kind of do it off the cuff. It didn't start that way, but it's become that. So
cool.
I would just let it flow naturally.
Yeah.
I'm
going to interject. Just relax with it.
I might pull some button bar stuff here, just in case,
Are you drunk?
Stuff like that, just in case. So we'll see how it flows. This is the new element of the week. So every week we add something new, and we'll see how this goes. I might do it, I might not. So other than that, we're probably get ready to get going, huh?
We've been rolling for 3 minutes.
All right, cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so we'll get a glass out for us already. Yeah, this is, you've had this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good stuff. This is the stuff that'll get you drunk.
Good.
Yes. All right. Episode 5 here. We are with Graham Short from Bulldog Auto Detailing. This is the One Bourbon, One Cigar Small Business Podcast. And the point of this podcast is to highlight small business owners, give you a forum to talk about you, talk about your business, and have a little fun, drink a little drink, smoke a little smoke, just have a little fun, and that's what we like to do here. We want to present small businesses in the best way possible. To me, they're the heartbeat of America. They are the people that hire the most, and that's where you spend your money in your community. So let's prop each other up and put our best foot forward. So with that, Graham, give us a little introduction about yourself, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, man. My name is Graham Short. I'm the owner of Bulldog Auto Detailing. We're currently located, our headquarters is here in Temple. Also have a shop up in Waco, and then we actually have 3 dealership accounts right now too, with Don Ringler, Chevy, Toyota. We've got Johnson Brothers Ford, and then we've got Cleo Bay Honda in Killeen. Married, got 2 kids, one's 16, that's Adrian, severely autistic. We'll probably talk about some of those challenges in a little bit. And then we have a mini-me, Tucker, 6 years old, car nut, just like me. I mean, he's a hot mess, just like me as well. But yeah, been married for almost 18 years now, and just
That's outstanding.
blowing and going. Yeah,
I love hearing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. And I know we'll get into it. Well, we might as well start. I know you are, just like myself, a Midwest boy, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You hail from the great state of...
Sturgis, South Dakota is where I'm from. Yeah.
Sturgis is kind of a big deal, right?
For a couple weeks out of the year, yeah. Otherwise, it's a normal small town. Turns into a city of about 500,000 plus during the rally. But
so, well, I guess since we're talking about, have you been to Sturgis then? Like to the rally?
Oh yeah. I mean, I grew up. I think I saw the first 22 rallies in my life, and then took a kind of a break because I moved. I was in the Air Force. Stuff moved south. I was back there in '08, and then last year we actually went up there and teamed up with Indian Motorcycles and actually did ceramic coatings and detailing for them this last summer. And I realized at 41 years old, I'm not built that way anymore.
So kind of cool to go back in a business type of way versus just experiencing it as a guest kind of deal.
Yeah, we go up there. I mean, usually at least a couple weeks every summer. Just my dad and sister and a ton of family still up there. Got a lot of family history. Like our claim to fame up there, my great grandfather actually worked on Mount Rushmore. It was my grandmother's dad. So,
holy cow!
Yeah. So last year was kind of cool. We did the helicopter ride. We took Tucker up there. We actually did the helicopter ride that gets really close to Mount Rushmore. Then we landed and actually took him up. He was 5 at the time, and it was kind of cool and almost sentimental a little bit, getting to explain to my 5-year-old how his great-great-grandfather worked on it, because his name is on the wall. Like all the people that worked on Mount Rushmore, their names are there and everything. So it was kind of neat getting to explain that to him.
Cool family history.
Yeah. So
wow.
Been up there a long time.
How about what's the other one they're never going to get done there?
Crazy Horse.
Crazy Horse.
Yeah.
Is it, how far along is that one?
Same it probably was 20 years ago. Yeah. I'm 42 and won't even be close by the time I'm gone.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But then I also, my parents got divorced when I was young, so I actually grew up, most of my school years were in north central Iowa as well. So,
okay, more Midwest, all right.
Yeah, just moved a little deeper.
Yeah, you kind of circled around where I was there. Mm-hmm. But nope, the Midwest has some great things that it offers, but it gets cold up there. So.
Love the summers, hate the winters. Yeah.
That's exactly it. But you know what does warm you up, and this is something I forgot to mention. We do this here on the podcast every time to get loosened up. We like to take a little hit of Clase Azul tequila. I understand you're a tequila snob-ish. You like good sipping tequila.
I like good
and this is good
tequila,
sipping tequila. So let me actually, if you just hold that up for me,
sir,
and I will pour you some. You'd say when.
I still want to know why you're drinking tequila on a bourbon podcast.
Because it loosens you up, Anyway, and if you say anything real funny, hey, we'll get after it. If you would like some more of that, Graham, it is there. We will enjoy it. And then I understand that you're not as big a fan about cigars, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Not everyone likes a cigar. I will be smoking the Plasencia Almafuerte here throughout. If anyone's interested, we'll be doing a review on it later. But with that said, we'll continue talking with Graham here. So, you said you're married. You've been married 18 years.
Almost, yeah. This July.
Where did you meet your wife?
So, in 2004, I got stationed in Abilene. I was in the Air Force. Worked on the B-1 bombers out there.
How long were you in the Air Force?
Just 4 years, from 03 to 07. But it was funny. I got stationed in Abilene January 12th of 2004. And my 4th day there, I met her actually at a bar of all places, and and then the rest has been history. Yeah. But yeah, she was going to nursing school in Abilene. She's a registered nurse, I was stationed there and just kind of lived our life up there, and that's where it all started.
Well, since you were in the service, how did you like your time in the Air Force?
Loved it overall, man. I mean, I'm super patriotic. I mean, we support military, the blue. I mean, we're just huge supporters in general, but loved the military. Wasn't a big fan of the job I had. I mean, I don't want to say I was duped, but I don't think my recruiter knew exactly what I was getting into. I didn't know I was going to be doing avionics on a jet. I was more leaning towards, I scored really high on the ASVABs, and I was really wanting to get into more like the intel side.
So what's ASVABs then? For
the testing you take to get into the military to kind of rank like what jobs you're eligible for, and so in the thing that sucked, I would have probably stayed in, but at my 3.5-year mark, that's when you're eligible for cross training, and we had a bunch of higher ranking guys get out to where it made us critically manned, so I couldn't cross train at that point. So I was like, sign up for four more years to work on jets or just get out. And
Get out.
Decided to get out. I got out March of '07, and our son was born April. So
Oh, wow.
yeah. So it was an interesting time.
Well, and then since you said that you alluded to it a little bit. So Adrian is his name?
Yep.
And you said he's severely autistic?
Yep. So,
which would have been hard to be in the service having...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. To have any continuity of care. And it was... I don't want to say it was a nightmare from the get-go, but he was born in Abilene Regional.
Okay.
And the day after he was born, we were about 3 hours from checking out of the hospital, and he actually had a massive seizure. I was holding him, massive seizure, like stopped breathing. It was terrifying, and thankfully the nurse was in there checking on us. So she snatched him up, and anyway, he was in NICU for about 2 weeks in Abilene, and they couldn't get the seizure stopped. So they actually had to transfer us out to Cook Children's Hospital in Fort Worth, and I think we were there for like another 5 or 6 weeks. And at his worst, he had, I think it was 24 seizures in one day. And
wow.
So, I mean, they still don't know why it happened or what, but I think a combination, I think the damage that was probably caused from having that many seizures that many days in a row, plus the medications they had to have him on to even get him stopped. I mean, it was just, I think it was the perfect recipe for disaster. And so I think a lot of that is why, he's the way he is now.
That's made it a little tougher for him?
Nonverbal. I mean, he's 16, still in diapers. I mean, it's like full care. I mean, he goes to full-time therapy instead of schooling and stuff like that. So
I've met Adrian at church before.
Yeah,
he's a staple there at church. Everyone knows who Adrian is.
He walked in yesterday. I wasn't with him. I was parking the car, and I guess he walked in the front door and just let out like this loud like squeal is what we'd call it. And I guess everybody kind of zoned in on him. It was pretty funny.
And
so
does he feel comfortable? Does he understand that kind of stuff?
Not really. He wears headphones a lot, especially like walking into the front of the church. I mean, it's loud. So typically we'll have headphones on, listening to some music to kind of keep the anxiety down.
So that will put him on edge then, that kind of that volume and stuff?
Yeah, if he's not wearing headphones with some music or something, a lot of kids with autism are super sensory sensitive. So kind of one way I heard it described is like, when a normal person walks into like a grocery store, it's loud but like manageable. When a person with autism walks in, it's like 1,000 people screaming at once. I mean, it's intense for them. Yeah.
Okay.
So, super sound sensitive is one of the common characteristics of autism and stuff like that. So
I don't know anything about autism or any of that. I know it's obviously hard. What would you say when you first found out he had autism, to like your response in your mind, because we all have that, oh no, with any, to now after living through it, and now what would you say? Usually over time we gain wisdom and things aren't as bad as we usually like. What kind of perspective has changed for you? Maybe?
So it was kind of a challenging road for us because we didn't get diagnosed until 5. So the biggest thing I encourage people now, because a lot of people will reach out to us about autism, is if you see, parents' intuition's strong, man. I mean, like, if you see something that's off, like, get your child to a developmental pediatrician and have them looked at. He didn't even start walking until he was 3. We knew, pretty much from the get-go. His milestones were never reached, the quote-unquote normal ones.
Sure.
He didn't start walking until 3. He's never really talked, so we knew something was wrong from the get-go, and we just waited too. I wouldn't say we waited too long, because as he was growing up, he's kind of on the cusp, or he was, during his time of growing up, was around the time that it was starting to become more prevalent as far as diagnosis goes, where you were able to get that diagnosis. Like me growing up,
I wouldn't say we're about similar in age, so no one knew what really autism was.
My son probably would have been, it's not politically correct now, but he would have been called probably mentally retarded when we were kids.
Sure.
That's what somebody would have called him without that diagnosis back then. And the therapies are getting so much better. When we moved here in 2019, he virtually had no ways of communicating anything like that.
Okay.
And we moved here, it's another crazy story, but we moved here in 2019. He was 10th on the waiting list for this company in Temple called Central Texas Behavioral Solutions. Alan and Christy Tyndall own it.
Okay.
Phenomenal people. But we didn't know how long. We just wanted to be here and be established. We picked up our lives of 10 years out in Hamilton, moved out here, and just to be ready whenever we got the go-ahead. Well, it was crazy. A week after we moved here, I was up in Waco, and I get this call from this guy, and he's like, man, I'm on my way to Waco. I've got a 62 Vet. Would you guys want to ceramic coat it? And I was like, dude, you could have called me on a Sunday and I would have met you to get that car in my shop. That's an awesome car, you know?
Wow.
And the reason why I'm sharing this, so he shows up and we're sitting there talking, and it was a week before I was supposed to go to Vegas to SEMA. And it was towards the end of the day. We started unpacking to doing stuff, and I told my manager at the time, I was like, dude, I think I'm just going to head home. And, I've got stuff to do. And he's like, man, dude, we don't get those kinds of cars in very often because we weren't even 3 years old at that point. You know, it was still a young company. And he's like, you should stick around. And for some reason, I listened to him. Normally, I would have been like, dude, you got it. You've been with us long enough. But I hung out. Alan showed up 15 minutes later and started talking about his car and stuff. And I always like to ask people what they do. You know, it's just, I like to just get to know my clients a little bit. And he's like, well, me and my wife own this company called Central Texas Behavioral Solutions. And dude, like, tears in my eyes.
Yeah, you're making me
like,
thinking just how that felt for you.
Absolutely crazy. It was literally a God thing. Like, I was speechless. I was like, man, I really want to talk about your car some more, but like, we literally just picked up our lives of 10 years and moved to Temple because of your company, and now he's kind of a deer in the headlights. So he starts asking questions about our son, and long story short, they had a therapist that was kind of, I guess, part-time or something like that, and they wanted him, so he ended up getting bumped way to the front of the waiting list because of his needs. So, and in our world, I mean, insurance doesn't get covered. I mean, most insurances don't cover autism. I mean, it's a nightmare. Like, when you have that,
really?
Oh yeah, it's
with
horrible.
As prevalent as it is now.
Horrible. Yeah, it's
but
a
they'll
joke.
cover obesity type stuff.
Yeah. Oh, dude, don't get me started. I mean, everything's always income based. You know, we both make decent livings, and so it's all that. You know, and so we finally got a yes. And I actually kind of struggled with it. And I called my dad to let him know about it. He's like, man, I get it, because he kind of got bumped in front of some other kids, but he's like, you guys have been told no your whole life with this kid. Like, just take him. You know, like, sure, he deserves it. You know, and so. 4 years later now, they've got him communicating, I would say probably about 70% accuracy, where, he still can't talk, but he's got an iPad and it's got like different pictures and stuff like that on it, like juice or music or, just whatever some of his needs and wants are, and he can push the button. And
so he can communicate through that pretty well.
I think they think it's about 70% accuracy. Sometimes but he's also a teenager too. Like, so it's funny.
You think he knows he has some intuition to screw around with you guys?
With our son, like, going in, I think he understands a majority of going in. It's the going out that's the hard part for him.
Communicating out.
Yeah, communicating out. Like, I remember it's probably been at least a couple years ago, they did this little test with him where it was like, I think, Hero Week or something like that. So they had all these pictures of like a police officer, firefighter, all these different heroes. And I think he nailed every single one of them. Like, they were like, point at the firefighter, and he'd point at it. And so I think the going in is good. It's just he doesn't know how to get it back out.
All right.
So, which he also gets frustrated with too. So he can get, if he wants something and he can't. I mean, just like me, if he's normal in that aspect. If you can't communicate with somebody, you get frustrated. So, but we're really lucky. He's never really had like violent tantrums or anything like that. So even though, I mean, he's relying. I mean, baths, food. I mean, he needs us 100%.
100%. Okay.
But thankfully he doesn't. He's not like self-harming. So there are some behaviors that you may have a child that's higher functioning, but could have really violent tantrums where they could physically hurt you. And so we're really lucky that he's not that way. And every once in a while he may lash out, but his coordination isn't good. So if he did catch you, it wouldn't hurt, or it wouldn't like knock you out. I mean, we've heard and seen some pretty hardcore stories in the world, and so, but he's a flirt. I mean, if there's a girl in the room, he's probably going to go flirt. He's got his mom's eyelashes, so he's got the long eyelashes, and
it sounds like it's had a very outsized impact on your life.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just hearing you talk about it, though, you have a pretty good perspective on life about it. You know what I mean? It looks.
And Jennifer is phenomenal with it.
And you said a nurse, which probably helps too. I mean, a little bit in terms of care and.
It's kind of crazy, looking back in life. I think you can kind of look at your life sometimes and reflect and kind of see how you're maybe being prepared for it. Like growing up, I call him my stepdad. It's my my youngest sister's dad. He was a school psychologist, and he was in charge of the special needs program. That was one of his duties. And so I was actually really close to the special needs crowd when I was in high school. Like BJ was our unofficial tennis manager in high school, and so like it was kind of crazy, looking back. I was being prepared when I moved to Hamilton, became really close, and I'm still very close with a couple of the special needs guys out there. They were our first official wheel and tire cleaners for Bulldog back in the days.
Wow.
And, yeah, and
so prepared your personality and temperament for something like
100%.
that.
100%. So it's pretty cool. And then, Jennifer being a nurse, I mean, medically and everything, they've got their own language. I mean, it's pretty cool to watch them. And but the challenges we're starting to move to that point in life now where he's big now. I mean, he's 16, he's 105 pounds, but now we got to start trying to figure out, long term, like what is this going to look like,
Sure.
And unfortunately, like in the direct area, we don't know a lot of facilities. Like when he graduates, he becomes an adult, he's going to, for just safety purposes, if he becomes my size, like there's no way we could deadlift him out of safely. I mean, there's just a lot of challenges that we're going to have facing.
To start facing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.